Hey, real estate nerds, this is Alex Yoder with Pro Tip Tuesday, my favorite day of the week. Today I'm coming at you in this 36-degree weather. It's starting to snow outside while I'm driving around looking at properties. And I thought I'd just share very quickly about this topic of training your vendors. Now, there's many things you can do to train your vendors, and I'll go into more of that in future videos. But today I want to talk specifically about training your vendors on what not to say. This comes to mind for us as a company because we are about to do an annual training that we do with all of our vendors about many different topics, and one of those will be on things that don't need to be said, that just contribute to challenges or create challenges and points of liability and contention that didn't need to exist. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a plumber go out to fix a leak under a sink, and he starts saying things like, "Oh man, this leak's probably been going for 5 years. I don't know how they didn't catch it before." Or, "Whoever fixed this before did a really poor job." These kinds of things that just create unnecessary points of contention and liability that may or may not even be true. They just tend to just vomit words based on how they feel, and it creates problems. So you need to communicate and train your vendors to report to you, and then you can relay to the tenant what needs to be known and what is in fact known, and how you're going to resolve that problem. I think maintenance is probably the number one thing that we need to focus on as landlords to find and keep good quality tenants. And we don't want to be creating problems in that effort by sabotaging ourselves, by not training our vendors, or the vendors sabotaging you unintentionally, as they just, as I said before, vomit words based on what they're seeing. So train your vendors to report to you, to close their mouths, so that you can appropriately position and relay those problems and challenges and repair needs to your tenants. Now, I'm not advocating for withholding information from your tenants. You should be transparent in what you are finding, but I definitely prefer to be ahead of it as opposed to being behind it. If there's a real problem, I can say, "Hey, there's a real issue here. Here's what's going on. Let me put you in a hotel for a night," or something like that, as opposed to the tenant getting immediately pissed off because they're hearing it from the vendor specifically, and then they're yelling at you because you didn't have the opportunity to hear it before they did, so that you can set the whole situation up and kind of make it work. So that's all for today. Train your vendors. We'll see you next week.